Hi, I'm Kora.
Hey, I'm Sinead, and this is Coffee Table Daydreams.
Welcome to another episode of Coffee Table Daydreams.
Welcome.
I'm Sinead.
I'm Kora.
And who do we have here with us
Who
today?
do we have?
Hey, I'm Shaq. I'm one of the partners at Odd House Films.
And also first official guest on the podcast.
Oh my god, I'm so honored. I'm so honored.
Yeah. We're so happy to have you here, Shaq. Shaq is one of our creative partners. We work together at Odd House, and he's a filmmaker with us, as well as many other skills of different trades within the arts. I think I'm coughing. One second.
Cough through it, as you should. Cough through it.
I had a vegan brownie. Oh, and that baby was
Little dry.
crumbly.
Them damn
It
vegans.
was. So I wanna check in with you guys about today's topic and get us going off of a question here. I wanna ask you guys something that I think, and I know both of you as filmmakers, writers, creators, that you are incredibly self-motivated, and I know from working with both of you how wonderful that is, and how like it really gets people going around you when you can be so self-motivated. But I think that there's also, with every artist and with any work period, there's a sense of sort of like your well can run dry at times, or you can burn yourself out while you're still going. And so I know this has actually come up in some of our other conversations before, but I'd love to start us off by hearing from you guys something you've seen other people do in times of burnout like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's like the quintessential artist question, because it's like, yeah, what it's the main like struggle I think that we deal with, because like all roads kind of lead to burnout if you're not careful, right? So what's the strategy? I know, like, for me it's what do you love, you know? What brings you peace outside of the things that you do, you know? If you have to step away from the creative stuff for a moment, like, is there a place that, you know, you can go to, or is there a practice of something else that, like, you know, say I'm writing, is painting something that, you know, maybe is creative, that like breaks you out of that feeling, or, you know, going into nature and just like being there, being in the moment. I always find like when I see other people do that, I'm reminded of like how important that is, just like taking the moments away.
I so agree with you, and especially with the part about like finding what you love. I think that's so important and so needed, because it happens sometimes in this industry where you get put into certain projects or certain scenarios that you might not like have that love and passion for, and I think that's where that burnout comes from, is if you don't feel that like fiery, motivated passion to do it, you're not going to do it. If you have like 24 hours in a day, especially with how easily accessible like distractions are, you're not going to do it. So if you fall in love with it and this is the only thing that you could be doing, you should be doing it. And I think this even leaves the film industry as well. Like it goes to any topic. Like if you're in finance and that's the only thing that you ever want to be doing is like looking at stocks all day, which I don't know why you would, but like if you do, say that's like your calling, you know, and you love it and it's your thing, then it's not going to feel like work. It's going to feel like what you're meant to be doing here, and it's going to be feeling like, it's not going to feel like work. It's going to feel like a passion.
Totally. And I think like one thing I'm actually kind of curious too, because I know that like the three of us are only within 5 years from one another at maximum, and that like is really not a lot. And so I think that in many aspects we probably relate over the shared experience of being a young person and the kind of hustle mentality that people hold, and the idea that like if you're working, like you're moving, you're getting ahead, but if you're not working, you kind of I know that like not working can bring up feelings of dissatisfaction, like my work ethic has failed because I am resting, or my like creativity has run dry because I'm resting. And like what I'm curious to hear about is like maybe too those intentional practices like you mentioned, like painting, going on a walk, going to nature, etc., like finding those practices that are purposeful, but like you might not expect them to be restful, but they refill your energy in a sense. Like you feel better after, you feel rejuvenated. I think like gravitating towards like sleep can be super hard for people who are like constantly sleep deprived, or they're working. It's like, oh well, I have the weekend free, I'm not gonna sleep it through, I'm gonna go, but you can't, it's hard to keep that up.
There's this one quote that's like, I'm gonna quote this so wrong. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said I'm gonna quote something and I'm gonna quote it so wrong. Something about a train can't run without its gas and its fuel. And that fuel is your rejuvenation time. That fuel is your walks in nature. That fuel is your time to yourself, your rest. Trains don't go 24/7 through the night. They take breaks, they take rest stops, they take pit stops, but they get to where they need to go eventually.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna walk in Pinterest board today. No, yeah, like.
Yeah, I feel like everything in life, like, it ideally is about balance. And there are times where you are working around the clock. Like, there are times where you're in the middle of something and you're like, that's where, like, the passion of it, you're just like, I'm doing this project, or I'm doing this, like, thing that I need to do. But that quickly devolves into burnout, like we were saying, or into, like things like sleep deprivation, which, you talk about sleep, that's basically the foundation of everything to do with health in our lives, and on every level. And like, if you kind of find that sweet spot of like the balance between working hard and getting what you need to do done, and that rest time, and that important, like, not just rest, but like rejuvenation, and that like heart time where you're like finding those things that are like really important to you, that don't have to necessarily be related to like a project or something, right? Like
that heart time. Oh my god,
yeah.
I'm gonna start using that. That's a good one. Heart time.
Right.
Yeah, like I think that it really is tough too, because a lot of generations of our parents or grandparents were like really ones that took pride in hard work and work ethic, and for many people that also comes from like going through extremely tough circumstances and persevering, or experiencing loved ones going through that sort of thing, and it taught them the value of their work. And I think that the line for many people too, I think when you become just your whole business, is that like, when do the doors to your shop close?
Yes.
Like,
oh my god,
it's like, when would you send the employees home? When would you say like, enough is enough? Like, because I think that even if you're not working, the guilt follows you when you're like self-employed, or when you're your own boss. Or even just like, I think, to speak to my experience, it's like I've done a lot of self-employed work, I've done a lot of contracted work, and I've done work that like, some of it too, like I'm controlling my timeline. So it's like, why can't I push it faster? Why can't I push myself further? And when you don't do that, it's almost like the criticisms you give yourself are so much worse as well. They're so bad as well. Like, it's not great.
Yeah, definitely.
Being
Is
your
that
own
like,
boss.
yeah.
Yeah.
Being your own boss is hard. It is great because you can schedule your own hours. You can put up your own shop. You can watch Netflix all day if you really want to. But it's hard because you, especially with our world turning online, you are the only person that you see, and you have to keep yourself accountable. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't worked out in like what, 4 weeks. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym. I went once, haven't gone in 4 weeks. It's really hard. I know for me to keep myself on track, unless I have other people, which is also why I'm very thankful that I have you two in my life that can sort of keep me on track, and we have our weekly meetings and where we can discuss our creative topics, and that's my motivation to put like 10 minutes into my project or 10 minutes into this like thing every week, just so I have something to share. So I think that's also a really cool tip for burnout is find your people, find someone that you can just meet with every week, or just phone or talk or FaceTime and share a new idea, and like share, even if it's small and it's incremental, like you're slowly moving that needle a little bit over and over and over until you get to the end goal. But definitely if you're keeping it's so hard to keep yourself on track.
Yeah.
Totally. Like, like that accountability in a community.
Accountability
just like
community. Is that the episode name? I love that. That's cute.
Oh my god.
Did we just find the
Oh my
episode
god.
name?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, like having the community that like helps you with like the support, but also like the people who, I think, again with that balance thing of like the accountability is great, is important, and you also need to forgive yourself and like not, because that's such an easy, I know I struggle with this a lot with like the self-criticism, and like that spirals out of control so quickly when the thoughts start kind of piling on top of each other, when you're feeling like your sort of self-made view of what productive looks like, or like all the goals and all that stuff, when that's not perfectly met, that can lead down like a more negative, darker path potentially. But like having people around who are like, you know, are a community, are like you guys who, you know, you keep each other accountable, but you're also kind and supportive and are, you know, care about more than the checklist, right? And I think that's super important too.
Yeah, like I think about like the amount of time that you end up putting in to like maintaining your relationship with your friends, like, and with you guys. The fact that we try to check in as well and be really accepting of each other as people, it's like amazing how consistency just builds that accountability too, like with what Shaq was saying, and like what you're mentioning too, Cora, bringing in that empathetic like aspect to your work and to your community. It makes it a lot better, because I think that like when you feel like you're the odd one out, or you feel like you're gonna be a burden to a group of people, even if it's just a social group, like I feel like more often than not people withdraw rather than like rather than they like actually talk about it. They don't want to be an issue. So usually people will just cancel plans, they'll back away, and like I think it's hard to like keep up consistency, but when you can, like long-term benefits come from it. Yeah. And like even if it's like I haven't done work on my screenplay, but every time before I check in with my writing group, I do a 15-minute speed run through. And maybe that's like all you can manage right now, but like heck yeah, you're doing something. I think, yeah. How are you guys doing with your creative spaces, your projects? Like, how's everything going with you guys? Shaq?
It's been going pretty well. I'm really excited to share this news. It's now finally public. I've been sitting on it for a while. But but I've recently joined the WarnerMedia Access Writers Program in partnership with the Canadian Academy, which is really cool. And it's an incredible program. I'm going to be working with WarnerMedia for the next 6 months to develop my coming-of-age pilot and series, and hopefully this is in the form of a development deal. Hopefully it gets, knock on wood, it gets taken somewhere else and it gets bought out further. And I think there's so many incredible aspects about this project, but one is that they're compensating us, which I think is huge, especially for their outreach of who they were asking. And so that's incredible, is that they were able to do that for us. And second was the fact that they were reaching out to BIPOC and underrepresented groups. Like it's so refreshing to see companies and big media companies with such a large presence in the entertainment industry actively reaching out for those, and that was just such an incredible opportunity. And the program leads are incredible. They're the best. They've been so welcoming. I have felt imposter syndrome this past month sitting on this and just thinking about it, and even now as the other names have come up and starting to research them and see how fulfilled and accomplished they all are. Like, some of these people have been co-executive producers and writers on some big network shows and worked on some of my favorite shows, and I'm like, oh shit, I would have killed to work on this show, and you're already doing that. Like, that's where I'm taking this. Like, I'm taking this program to work on that show. You're already in this program and you've worked on that show. So that was been a sort of point of imposter syndrome for me for this past couple of weeks, but I am very excited to be joining this cohort. They're basically mentoring us through the development deal, and by the end of this we'll have a full like revised pilot draft and lookbook assets, and hopefully these are really great selling points for me to launch into the rest of my career and see that Muslim representation and see that queer representation on screen, and that young representation. We were just talking about being young people in this industry, but it's so hard to get. I think it's so systemic. Like, but when we're young, we're staff writers and PAs and not people, or like writers assistants. Like, we're not in the room developing the stories. But then by the time we're also the target audience for majority of these stories. Not all of them, but for majority, especially for teen shows. That's what I really want to talk about. Is like, and then by the time you get old enough to create a teen show, you're out of touch of what the teens like. So you have to hire consultants, you have to hire like younger editors, and you have to hire that BIPOC talent, which doesn't always happen. But then you become out of touch to write that show. So my goal with this program is sort of to break that cycle and say, you know what, why can't a young person show run the show for teens? If I know the demographic I want to write for, because I am that demographic, that's where the show's going to come from. So yeah.
Amazing.
And I just wanted to say also, these two, y'all have been the most supportive people in the entire world. This would have not happened without you guys, real tea. Like, I remember the first draft of that pilot getting sent. I sent that to you guys, and you guys had that first meeting, and you were just like, let's just go through this. Even though it was a shit draft, I was like, y'all went through it, y'all edited, y'all helped me edit it, we changed the style together, we came up with we rewrote the tone together. Like, you guys were so instrumental in that editing process for me, and that peer review process for me, that I just really do want to take this time and say thank you.
Thank you, Shaq.
No,
thank you
thank you
for letting us be a part of it and sharing it with us. And yeah, we really appreciate that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very exciting, and it's like, it's cool to have been able to like see some of the stages that you're going through of the development of it too, and like, you've been doing an incredible job, and like, I'm very excited for what's in store. Yeah. Like, I'll love to hear what's next with it. Like, yeah, we're all gonna be like, oh, yeah, the baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it comes back into that accountability and community. Like, I would have never been able to like even have the motivation to write a pilot if I didn't have you guys to be the one, or spec script, the first part, to like even send to them. If I didn't have y'all, who were my people who I could be like, you know what, like, we can share that love of filmmaking and writing and directing, and I've learned so much from you, both of you, on how to direct, how to write, how to like run a production, how to manage and work in teams, how to outsource business stuff. Like I just love learning from you guys so much and seeing all of your experience and like being able to like sort of just like pick your brains. Like it's just awesome. It's just awesome.
We love working with each other. What can we say?
Look at us.
So sweet. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that endlessly. And the same goes to you. Like I'm excited to have people like you guys. Yeah, like it makes a huge difference, especially to like creating a routine together for work, for friendship, for creativity, for all those things, and having it be something that like we all take pride in the work we do together. And starting a business is not so easy peasy lemon squeezy, and we've been really able to rely on one another, and that's really awesome. And I think we should just be like really proud of ourselves.
I want to hear project updates from y'all. I want to hear.
I was just gonna ask you, Kora.
I mean, I'm kind of riding a bit of a wave now of lots of stuff going on, lots of life things going on unrelated to film, which is okay. Lots of flying related things going on. Not that everybody listening knows about that other half of my life, but
By night, Kora is a pilot.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Oh my god.
so,
By night, meaning in the day.
meaning mostly during the day. Yeah, so into that, but it's been a rocky road in many ways, but also, you know, the smoke this year from all the fires has been a little bit of a toss-up for flying. So that's changed my plans a lot, and that's, you know, requires some adapting, but it's okay. But yeah, that's taking up a lot of my time right now, which is the intention of this year. And yeah, I'm excited like to be shooting, and Shaq to be working with you with directing and like shooting different projects like that we have planned this year, and like hopefully pretty soon diving into some writing projects.
Ooh.
Just forming right now.
Her writer's fingers are tingling,
Yes,
ladies and gentlemen.
That is the next mission, I think, after things kind of level out this year. But yeah.
Well, folks, you heard it here. That is excellent news out of both of you. I feel like the riding the wave like comment honestly just resonates, because it's like you kind of, when you get projects lined up, and I know like we all are like nodding at each other like, yeah, we know the projects we got coming up, but it's like we are kind of on a wave at this point, and that's why like every time I check in with you guys, I'm like, yeah, like it's a lot of work coming up, but like I'm trying not to be stressed. I'm trying to just get my tasks done and like remember to delegate, and to like, I'm a real big lister. Ever since I started filmmaking, my filmmaking skills have relied on list making. It's like list after list after list. It's like, as a kid, I don't know, maybe this is a weird deep cut to throw back to, but like I remember when Kora was like 14, 15, and I was like 15, 16, and I was making these like really weird schedules out of like Microsoft document tables, and I would have like 17 different colors that were associated to each individual actor, and I was making these weird charts. But I remember after one filming session, I heard my other friend was like, you know, Kora thinks that you're an excellent producer. And I was like, she knows how to appreciate a really colorful schedule.
Yes.
And like I was like maybe this is a calling. Maybe it's not so normal to enjoy spreadsheets.
It's meant to be.
But like as a kid, I was like, this is how you film make? This is awesome. So when you're starting, you just kind of like make it however you can. Like
It's like it's
you just
project management. Like that's what
Yeah.
filmmaking is. Like
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
You have a project, and you have to manage.
I think though what's so interesting though too is like when you start any art form as a child or as a teen, the more you do it and the older you get, the more you realize like what you thought of something, it just becomes so different. Like as you learn about a craft, like I became a filmmaker through acting, and that like changed the way I saw films by like acting in them and then wanting to make the stories my own. And it's like you never, your passion reveals itself before your eyes.
100%. Where did y'all first discover that you wanted to become filmmakers?
Man.
I know that like for me a big thing when I was a kid was that like I was fascinated by like people in movies and how fun and adventurous like people could be and how they could do so many cool things. And I thought like one of the greatest joys was pretending like fake things and like pretending you were a character or in a situation. And it was like my imagination was just so encouraged by my mom. Like that was so important to her that I was creative. So it was like I was always encouraged to do acting, performing, and writing. And like I think for me, like I just had artists in my family who told me what I was doing was like really important to be doing. And so filmmaking became like, and with acting became a very quick route to make the kind of pieces of art that I wanted to make. Even though I didn't recognize that as art, I just recognized it as like making films, making little movies, sketches, skits. But whatever that is, that was the medium, and it became very much my favorite from a very young age.
How about you, Cora?
I mean, I think like storytelling, I say usually more on the writing side, has been something that I think I've done, or that has been like a very core part of my life for as long as I can remember. And like I always like tell, like my mother tells a story of me like writing out the outline to The Lion King and like a storyboard like kind of format, I guess, as like a 4 or 5-year-old.
Wow.
And like
Like,
trying to
let's break
trying
this
to figure
down.
out like
That's the
trying to
best.
figure out the story.
That's the best movie to do it too. Like,
So it's pretty
So
funny,
cute.
but yeah, like it's always been like, and then like my family's very artistic. Like my father's writer, my mother's an artist, like visual artist, and like they always went to films, like the film festival, and so it was always like film was always a part of my life, like always. And we always watched movies. That's what we did, like, and yeah, I think when eventually I went through, like I was always writing. I went through like theater and like all of that, and eventually I found my way to a camera somehow. And then I think I was probably 8 or 9, and like something just worked with that for me, like connected in my brain, and I somehow again found my way to like a filmmaking workshop in Toronto when I was like 9 or 10 for like kids. Wow. And like that gave me like a little bit of knowledge about filmmaking in like a very basic way, and enough to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But it was always that sense of like I never really chose to be a filmmaker or never really chose to do this. Like it was always just what I did. And I think, I mean, it always comes back to storytelling and like the click of visual, like the visual storytelling and the sort of all-encompassing art form that film is, where everything is kind of together with the collaboration, like all of that. It just, something about it was like, it just all fit and worked out.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the path that I found myself on. And that was it, pretty much, from there. Yeah.
How about you, Shaq?
Ooh, okay. I can remember the first time I wanted to get into stand-up and comedy, and that was, I would take my mom's, like, chunky ThinkPad, like the one with the little, above the mouse, there's, like, the little thing, and you can, like, the little, like, circle, and you can put your mouse on it. I took that little, like, my mom's work laptop, and I would sneakily watch, and I was, like, 8 or 9, and I had no business watching this man, but I would watch Russell Peters' stand-up clips on YouTube. And this was, like, janky bootleg YouTube, too. So it was, like, you had to wait for it to load. So I would load it, and then I would wait. Like, I would go do something. Like, I don't know, I'd go, like, pick my nose or, like, play with Lego. And then I'd come back, and I'd press play. And I'd watch the videos. And I don't think 8 or 9-year-olds should be watching Russell Peters. He's very talented, but I don't think I don't think it was his target audience. But then I eventually...
No, he's not known to be a child entertainer.
I don't think so either. I don't think he was. But through Russell, it opened up all these doors to other South Asian actors and comedians. Like, I found Mindy. I don't know why I'm talking to them about that. Like, I know them by the phrase. I mean, Mindy Kaling. They're not my friends yet. Mindy Kaling. I snapped into Lily Singh and her work. I thought she was so funny. She was like my idol forever. She still is. I still love her, and I love the work that she's done. And it's so do those people, and I saw those people doing it, which made me be like, I can do this too. And then it's very recent that I found my love for the behind the camera work, was because I didn't see what I wanted in front. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna pull a little Mindy Kaling and write my own show. There's an incredible, I just finished her audiobook, and she has this little part about how she got started, and she was like, I didn't see a sitcom for any Indian women at all. So guess what, I freaking wrote it. And guess what, it landed me a job in the office, and boom, she skyrocketed. So just seeing those people do it and make it was like, I can do it too, and I'm going to do it too. And seeing how, if I had more people like that, and being able to inspire younger people, that'd be so cool. And I think that's also what just keeps me going, is like, imagine if you had a show about a queer Muslim teenager growing up, and how different your life would have been, and how much how much more you would have been into your own, and being able to be comfortable in your skin at such a younger age. I want that for a kid. Like, if you just look at how the experience of Never Have I Ever, and how incredible that representation was, you just see how many hearts it's touched. And I think that's like this super powerful thing with storytelling, is the ability to affect a real human's life, the ability to like actually change someone's views and outlooks and opinions on a certain group, or like on just the ability to shape. It's so powerful. It's stupid powerful. How I don't think people realize it. Like war, guns, army, all these dictators who were like fully trying to invade countries. Great. Film is powerful. Film is more powerful. They should just it's so.
I know what you mean.
So
I know
powerful.
what you mean, because it's like that idea that you might be at a distance. You might be like, "What's the scariest thing you can think of?" And you're like, "Well, living in a war zone." And you might be like, "Oh, well, I'm so distant from that. I'm so safe. I'm so without the effect of that." But for example, if you were to bring a film into people's homes more, depicting that worst fear of theirs, of people who are really experiencing that, you then don't feel like you can just distance yourself from like things that you don't understand. And this is going off of war because of
I know, I said
mentioning
war.
that
I don't know
just
why I
now.
said war. I was trying to think of things that are like big and powerful.
Totally though.
What's
but like that's the thing. But yeah, your TVs and your computers are all next to you all day long, and they're in your hands, in front of you, and like, you can't avoid the media or the industry, and like, so if you're a part of it, you want to think about like, what kind of change do I want to make? What kind of footprint makes me the happiest to lead?
100%. And you can see like politicians, they do their change through like judicial work and through government work, and we can take our work and use our activism and our platforms through film.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much, Jack, for joining us today on our podcast.
This is so fun. Oh my god, y'all know where I live. You can just, I live on the Zooms.
Y'all know where I live.
Should I just spill my address? Honestly,
no way. You'll get your fans.
I wish.
This has been Coffee Table Daydreams. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us.